Hello, queens and kings. Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Today is a beautiful day. We'll be doing this diamond pattern. I'm so excited. It's going to be in two parts where I have a part one where I kind of do half a diamond and part two whereby we sort of transition into a second diamond. So let's get started. I have my needle in my upholstery thread and I'm using a single thread whereby at the end I don't tie the ends of the two threads. So I've decided to start with my white. I've noticed something while I was practicing. I'm always starting with white. I think it's a thing. Okay, I'm going to start with my white. So I'm going to pick up the first one white bead, and I'm going to use it as a stopper bead, whereby I take it and I push it right at the end, and then I insert my needle in the opposite direction, and then I pull, making a loop around my one bead. So now I'm going to start off with my foundation. For my foundation, I am going to pick up 16 white beads. And here I go. I have my 16 beads, which are 4 groups of 4. Then I'm going to push them right at the end. I'm excited for this pattern because finally we're doing a pattern that is whereby in the foundation we use 16 beads instead of 12 beads. Now I'm going to pick up 4 white beads and then we're going to start. The stitch is the same as the previous ones. The only thing that is different is the pattern. So I'm going to count 4 beads. 1, 2, wait for it to focus. I'm back, sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the first bead, that's where I am going to insert my needle. Now the beads that I'm using are seed beads. They're glass seed beads. Remember, when you pull at the bottom and you pull at the tail towards the direction in which you are moving, like this. Now I'm going to pick up 3 white beads. And here are my 3 white beads. Then I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, whereby I count 4 beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the 4th bead, this is where I insert my needle. And then I pull. Just do it like this. Make sure it's one side. Now I'm going to introduce my color. In the triangle pattern, you introduce your colors at the end, but it's the different case when it comes to the diamond. The diamond, you always introduce the color at the center, the center of your belt or your bracelet. So I'm going to pick up black for our frame and then one color and black again. So the color will be the color of your choice. Then I have my black and I decided to go with green and black. So it's black, color, black. In this case, which is black, green, black. So I'm going to do the same thing whereby I count 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 4th bead, this bead, that is where I insert my needle. You can see. And then I pull. So I've introduced my color, and then I go back to my white. I'm going to pick up 3 white beads. I have my 3 beads with me, 3 white beads. And then I'm going to do the same thing as I've done before. 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th bead, that is where I insert my needle. Remember, the last bead is the stopper bead. It just prevents the rest of the beads from leaking. It will not affect the pattern in which you're doing. So now we're going to turn. Every time when we turn, we pick up 4 beads. So I'm going to pick up 4 white beads. And here are my 4 white beads. Every time when we're turning or starting a new line, we have 4 beads. Now we're going to insert the needle at the central bead. The central bead is the bead that is always standing up, standing out, like this bead, the green bead, this bead, and this bead. It's always the bead that is standing out. Unset, and I pull. Remember, when you pull at the bottom and at the tail of your thread towards the direction in which you're moving. Now I'm going to pick up 1 black and 2 green. And here I have my 1 black and 2 green. I am going to do the same thing again. I'm going to just make sure I pull from the previous one. Insert my needle at the central bead, and then I pull. Now I'm going to pick up 2 green and 1 black. Here's my 2 green and my 1 black. I'm going to insert my needle at the central bead. It's the bead that is always standing out, like this bead, and then I pull. Okay. Remember to follow the pattern. And by you always have to look at your pattern. Always look back at your work just to make sure that you're on the right track. And it will also guide you on the kinds of colors that you have to pick up next. Like here, I can see if I can pick up green or black, it won't be suitable for where I am currently in this pattern. That means I'll have to pick up 3 white beads. And there are my 3 white beads, and then I'm going to insert my needle here on this bead right here. Yo, how are you guys doing? I hope you're well. Yo, in South Africa it's hot. It is hot. I'm starting a new line. So every time when I start a new line, I have to have 4 beads. So I'm going to pick up 4 white beads. And here are my 4 white beads. The way it's so hot, you sleep with the fan on. Yeah, it's hot. In this case, this is the central bead. That is where I'm going to insert my needle, and then I pull. Oh, it's hot. I hope everyone is drinking water. Water, hydrate, 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 hydrate. Okay, at this point, we're going to pick up 1 black and 2 green. Remember, the black for the border around the diamond, and the green is our diamond. I have my 3 beads. I'm just laughing every time when I pause to pick up the beads. I always turn the fan on. Imagine, just for those few seconds, it makes a big difference. Phew. I've never complained. My mom always says, you know what? We are so ungrateful. When it's cold, we complain. When it's hot, we complain. She always says people don't know what they want. So now I'm going to pick up 3 green beads. Here are my 3 gorgeous beads, and I insert my needle here, the central bead, and then I pull. Now I'm going to pick up 2 green beads and 1 black bead. Here, my 2 green beads and 1 black. Then I'm going to insert my needle here, and then I am going to pull. So now we're at this point whereby we have to start a new line. So remember, every time when you start a new line, no matter what, you have to have 4 beads. That is the principle of doing this stitch. So for this pattern, at the point where we currently at for this pattern, you'll have to pick up 1 white and then black, and then 2 green. 1 white, 1 black, and 2 green. So in total, it will be 4 beads. So I picked up 1 white, 1 black, and 2 green. Where did that bead come from? It's just flying past. And then I insert my needle, my needle here. And then I pull. Remember, just to secure, especially at the corner, you pull at the bottom here and you pull at the top, and the tail towards the direction in which you are moving. Oopsie. Now I am going to pick up 3 green beads. 3 green beads. Green beads, not beans. I insert my needle here and then I pull. There's this song in my brain from the movie Madagascar. Da 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 Afro da 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 circus. Is it Afro circus? And then I'm going to pick up 3 green beads. Then I'm going to insert my needle here, my needle, and then I pull. And then I'm going to pick up 2 green beads and 1 black. Then I have 2 green beads and 1 black. Then I'm going to insert my needle here on this bead, and then I'm going to pull. There's one thing that I'm quite interested in terms of, I have a knot here. Let me pause and just clear out this knot. Wait. If you haven't had a knot while doing beads, you are the bomb.com. If you haven't had a knot, and if you haven't spilled an entire bowl or entire container of beads, you are the bomb.com. You are the bomb.com. So now we're at this point. That means we have to introduce a new color, for the sides. Remember, we have our diamond, which is our green, but we also have the half triangles that are on the sides. So this is a color that we have to introduce. And in this case, I've decided to introduce orange. So we're going to have a triangular orange here at the top and a triangular orange here at the bottom, while we continue moving with our green. So at this point, this is where we're going to introduce our color. We're going to pick up one white. Remember, every time when you're at this point, you have to have, when you're starting a new line or when you're turning, which is the same thing, but explaining it in two different ways, you always have to have 4 beads in total, irrespective of the color of beads that you choose in terms of where you are within the pattern. So at this point of the pattern, we're at the point where we have to introduce a color for the 2 triangles, at the top and the bottom. So you first pick up one white, the color of the previous 2 triangles. In this case, they are half triangles. And then you pick up 2 orange, which is the new color of the triangles that will be on the side, and then black. So it's 1 bead from the previous color, 1 bead from the previous color, 2 beads from the new triangular color that you're introducing, and 1 black. So in total, I have 4 beads. So the color that I've decided on my triangles, that'll be on at the top and at the bottom. Like in this case, the top and the bottom is orange. So I picked up 1 white, which is the color of the previous top and bottom triangle, and then 2 orange, which is the new color of the top and bottom triangle, and the black. Black is which represents the color of the frame that frames out the diamond pattern. Then I'm going to insert my bead. Where you insert your bead is always the same. One thing that will always be consistent, one thing that will always be the same when you do the stitch or this kind of pattern. This stitch, should I call it a stitch? We're doing a triangle pattern. When you're doing this stitch, one thing that is always the same is the number of beads and where you insert your needle. Number of beads, I mean by when you're turning, it's always going to be 4 beads. When you're at the center, it's always going to be 3 beads. So that is the same. But the foundation, remember, you decide on how thin, on how thick you want it to be. But it always has to be in 4 groups. It always have to be in 4s. So 4, 8, 12, 16. You know, my brain can't calculate further than that right now. But in general, mathematics, I kill it. If I do say so myself. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. So at this point, you're going to pick up 3 green beads. I have my 3 green beads with me, and then I'm going to insert my needle here at the center, and then I pull. And again, I'm going to pick up 3 green beads. So you see, the number of beads are always a constant. But now, because I'm at the central part, not the corners, not starting a new line, not starting a new line, or not turning, it's always going to be 3 beads. But the colors that you choose is always going to be determined by a pattern, whether you're doing a triangular pattern, whether you're doing a diamond pattern, whether you're doing this, whether you're doing that, a flower pattern. It's all up to you. But the principle is that where you insert your bead, it's always at the central part and the number of beads. Okay, now I'm going to pick up 3 green beads. I have my 3 green beads here, and then I'm going to insert my needle here. You're always going to insert your needle here at the central bead. Yeah, so if you haven't had a knot while doing beads and you haven't spilled an entire dish like this of beads, please tell me how you do it, because I really would love that advice. Especially spilling beads, that used to frustrate me. Now I'm going to pick up 3 green beads. Here are my 3 green beads. But you know what has helped me in terms of spilling beads is always using a tray. I wouldn't say always, because I don't use a tray always. But if I'm doing the beads and I don't have a table, I'm going to use a tray and then put my containers there. And then, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce the new color, and that's where we're going to stop. So I'm going to pick up 1 black, 2 orange. Remember the orange, which is the triangle at the top and the bottom, and 1 black again. There we go. I have 1 black, 2 orange, and 1 black. The orange is the color that I introduced previously here at the bottom. So I have to do the very same thing at the top. Then I insert, let me hold it like this. Insert my needle here. And then this is where I'm going to stop for part 1. And then for part 2, I'd like us to continue, finish off the green triangle and the green diamond, and then continue with the orange triangles and introduce a new diamond. So that's the aim for the part 2 pattern. Thank you very much for watching. If you love the content that you're seeing, please consider subscribing. I love you guys so much. And see you on the part 2 video. Bye.